So if you're ambitious, there's this hidden variable that really determines whether you succeed or, well, whether you self-destruct. Today, we're not just reviewing Ryan Holiday's Ego is the Enemy. We're going to break it down like a strategic manual for mastering that variable. For anyone who's serious about long-term success, this framework is absolutely critical.
First, let me ask you something. Think about all the external things you plan for. Competition, the market, your budget. But what if the single biggest threat to everything you want to achieve isn't on any of those spreadsheets? What if it's inside you?
And there it is. That's the answer, straight from Ryan Holiday himself. For people who are driven and successful, the real fight, it's internal. The main enemy is your ego. So what are we actually talking about when we say ego?
Okay, let's be really clear about the definition here. We're not talking about healthy confidence. In this book, ego is that corrosive force, that inflated belief in our own importance that just twists our perception of reality. It turns ambition into a self-centered mission. As the legendary coach Pat Riley called it, it's the disease of me.
The core genius of this book is how it's structured. Holiday says that ego doesn't just attack you randomly. Nope, it launches a coordinated assault across your entire journey. He frames it as a 3-act tragedy. And just understanding this framework is the first step to defending yourself.
So these are the 3 main battlegrounds in the war against your ego. First, there's aspiration, before you've really achieved anything big. Then there's success, which is when you're most vulnerable. And finally, failure, where a setback can turn into a complete disaster. Trust me, ego has a specific playbook for each one.
All right, let's break down Act 1, aspiration. This is the starting line. You're full of drive. You've got big plans. But here's the tricky part. This is where your ego is already working behind the scenes to sabotage you. So how does it do that?
This amazing quote from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus just hits the nail on the head. The biggest danger of ego when you're just starting out is that it shuts down your ability to learn. It whispers in your ear that you're too good for that entry-level work, that you already know it all, and that you deserve recognition. Like, right now.
And this shows up in some really specific, unhelpful ways. Ego would much rather talk about the big idea than actually do the work, because talking gets you praise without the effort. It convinces you you're above the boring, necessary tasks. It makes you crave approval more than actual progress, so you end up daydreaming about the future instead of grinding it out today.
Okay, let's move on to Act 2. Let's say you've kept your ego in check. You've put in the hours, and now you're successful. Congratulations! You are now in maximum danger. Success is like a drug, and your ego is ready to use it against you.
The second you become successful, your ego starts rewriting history. It tells you your success was guaranteed, that you're basically infallible. This entitlement, it leads to complacency. You stop learning because your ego thinks you've already graduated. You become difficult to work with, you tune out critical feedback, and you start to overreach because you actually believe your own hype.
Howard Hughes is the perfect case study for this. His early, huge success in his family's business convinced him he could conquer any industry. And that ego-driven belief led to decades of just disastrous projects in aviation and movies, ultimately wasting his incredible talent and his fortune.
And all of that leads us right into Act 3, failure. Because look, whether it's because your ego made you overreach or just because life happens, failure is inevitable. And this is where ego makes its final and often fatal move. It turns a simple setback into a total catastrophe. Take Dov Charney, the founder of American Apparel. When he was pushed out as CEO, he had a choice. He could accept a smaller role and help save the company he built, or he could fight. His ego just couldn't handle the blow. So instead of saving his company, he chose to save face. He started an internal war that nearly drove his own creation into bankruptcy. His ego chose destruction over humility. Okay, so the problem is crystal clear. Ego is a relentless enemy at every single stage. But the real power of this book isn't just pointing out the problem. It's the practical, strategic toolkit it gives you to fight back. So the real question is, what do we do about it? Well, first, we have to know what we're aiming for. The antidote to ego isn't self-hatred. It's real, authentic confidence. See, ego is a liability. It's loud, it's arrogant, and it's based on delusion. True confidence is an asset. It's quiet, it's objective, and it's built on a solid foundation of real skills and hard work. That's our goal.
And this right here is an absolutely essential tool for your toolkit, borrowed from the fighter Frank Shamrock. It's the plus-minus-equal system. It's basically a powerful built-in defense against ego.
You need to always have 3 key relationships. A plus, a mentor, someone better than you to keep you humble and learning. An equal, a peer at your level to challenge you and keep you sharp. And a minus, a mentee, someone you teach which forces you to get clear on what you actually know. This isn't just networking, it's a system to keep you grounded in reality.
All right, but let's be real for a second. As powerful as these ideas are, putting them into practice is not easy. This book isn't a magic pill. It's describing a long, hard war of attrition.
Which brings us to probably the most important question here. Can you just read the book, use the tools, and be done with it? Is this a fight you can win once and for all?
The author's own answer is a hard no. Ryan Holiday himself says he has to work on his ego all the time. It's a daily practice that, in his words, keeps him honest. So this isn't a failure of the strategy, it's just the nature of the enemy.
And look, if you need any more proof that this is a lifelong battle, get this. The author has the title of his own book, Ego is the Enemy, tattooed on his forearm. That's not for show. It's a constant personal reminder of the daily battle he has to fight and that all of us have to fight.
So where does that leave us? After all this, what's the ultimate takeaway? What is the mandate for anyone who really wants to achieve mastery in their life?
It's this. Mastery isn't a finish line you cross. It's the result of a constant daily process. And that process is actively keeping your ego in check so that you can stay a student, see the world clearly, and do the work that actually matters. Your greatest potential is waiting for you on the other side of your ego.
Look, to really integrate these strategies, I highly recommend you read the book for yourself. You can find a link to Ego is the Enemy, along with some other great resources, right in the description below.
And hey, if you want to keep diving deep into the frameworks and mental models that drive real success, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.